Hey, Sean Chandler here. I'm talking about the 20th episode of Season 5 of Arrow. It just debuted. This is kind of my immediate reaction and review to the episode. This will be spoiler-filled, so if you haven't watched it yet, stop watching this, go watch it, then come back and check out this conversation that I'm looking to have right here on this particular video. And with that said, I really want to talk about the episode with you and the season with you, so join in the comments section down below if you're watching this later on. If you're watching this live, try and throw comments up on the screen. I'll do what I can to respond to you, but talking while reading is kind of tricky. With that said, let's dive right into talking about this particular episode. And I said I will be going into spoilers immediately, so be aware that is the case. So this episode was a decent bottle episode. And by bottle episode, what I mean by that is it's when they do episodes of TV shows that are confined to a specific location. So you think an episode of like the show Friends where a guy gets stuck in an apartment, or there's one where Chandler gets stuck with a model in like a bank room, something, I don't remember what it was, but he's only in one location the whole episode, and that's the whole plot of it. That's a bottle episode, and they restrain the environments of it to save on budget stuff so they can save that money for other episodes, and it gives you some creative opportunities to have some character moments as well as test things out in a very contained environment, and that's what this episode was. It was very much a bottle episode because it was contained to a specific location, doesn't have some of the grand scale of most episodes, and in that, it was a decent episode. It was probably above average for this season. Not one of my favorite episodes of the show, but a strong showing, but it did have a distinct lack of actual action in the episode. So this is Arrow. It's known for having pretty good fight scenes, especially for being on TV, having chase sequences, shootouts, all kinds of stuff like that. And then you watch this episode and they're like climbing ladders and stuff. So a little bit of that is lost in this particular episode. Let's kind of walk straight through what was in this episode. So, basic premise of it, Prometheus, EMPs, and bombs the Arrow layer. So because of that, Felicity and Oliver get stuck down in there, and because she's got a chip in her back that makes it so she can walk, an EMP goes off, so she loses the ability to walk, so Oliver has to carry her around. Along the way, the Scooby Gang is trying to figure out where they're at, and in the process of trying to do so, Diggle and his wife have a bit of a falling out once again as he discovers there's even more things that she's been keeping from him, which he does not appreciate. The flashbacks tell the story of 11 months ago that Oliver and Felicity almost got back together, but she couldn't trust him, and he didn't trust her, and he doesn't trust anyone, and therefore they can't quite make it work out, even though we so wish that they would. And then the cliffhanger at the very end is Prometheus snagging up William, Oliver's son, or he doesn't snag him up, but you think that's where it's going. So let's talk about, how was this? How did this play out? How was it any good? So the good bits on this. I like the idea of a flashback to within the time frame of the show. I like it when they do flashbacks like that because it reminds us of the past, and it gives us a different perspective on the events kind of going on and how they shape what's going on right now. So I tend to like those ones, as well as in this case, it's nice to see them happy. Because during the seasons, they're so dead set on having drama and tension and pulling people apart that because of that, they tend to be pretty unhappy and miserable around each other. So it's nice to see them have a positive moment where they're drawn towards each other, and people are confused as to why, you two should get together because you guys are awfully cute. It's nice to see that side of things, and just kind of a regular day in the life where the stakes aren't incredibly high constantly. So I really like that about the episode. Other things about it, just that it was kind of a simple bottle episode with the elements. Big Tito says, I like how they kind of addressed the whole reason of kind of the distance between Oliver and Felicity, and I'd agree with you. I thought that was really nicely handled because it ties into what we are seeing right now, which is this ongoing, and even what I've ranted about. If you've watched any of my videos about this season, I rant about how they always talk about trust, and rant. I talk about it constantly, how they have lectures, and that's about trust, which is actually one of my negatives on this episode, as that happens again. But this episode addresses that from a different perspective of her being like, Oliver, you don't trust me. Oliver, you don't trust me. And then we kind of get the reveals in that. He's like, it's not you, it's me. It's not you I don't trust, it's me I don't trust me, and therefore I have trust issues. This is a big thing that I know is an ongoing about me with trust. It's not just you. Yeah, the Game Crew says, I haven't watched the Arrow episode yet, but I don't want to miss a live stream. Okay, I will be spoiling things. But like, I think that they handled it really well, and it made me less frustrated by some of the trust talk because of that. And like I said, that's one of my positives, and that's a really good way to use the flashbacks on the show, as opposed to, hey, look, another convoluted situation where he wasn't on the island that he was on for a long time. Like, I see that stuff and I get frustrated by it, so I just wish that they would, the flashbacks like this, I think, work nicely, tie things together a little bit better, and I think there's more creative ways to use the flashbacks than convoluted backstory about some wacky adventure that Oliver was on. Other things I liked about it, back to the kind of bottle episode aspect of it, it had a very clear objective to escape, where some episodes, it's not like they're writing these big grandiose scripts and stories that are like enthralling, but they put too many plot points in it, and so you're kind of like, they go somewhere and then they have a conversation about mumbo jumbo about where they need to go next. They go there, their fight scene breaks out, they gain a piece of information, then they sit down, talk about mumbo jumbo that tells them where to go next. And I liked that this one, it was just very clear, concise. I wasn't trying to follow along with mumbo jumbo. It was just, we're in a place trying to get out of it. If I go up the elevator shaft, it's probably booby-trapped. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, we're running out of here. Very straightforward. I really appreciated that about the episode, and it set up some good character moments that don't feel forced. Last week's review and reaction, I talked about extensively how I thought that episode was just so jam-packed with forced, unnecessary lectures, speeches, trust conversations that just, it was so over the top. Whereas here, it made a little bit more sense what we were seeing and why it was playing out the way it was playing out. So I appreciated a lot of things like that about the episode. Now let's talk about the bad stuff. I've touched on this a little bit, but once again in this episode, we get some trust conversations. And so Felicity's, Oliver, why don't you trust me? I don't trust. And we get trust back and forth. Once again, them saying the same things. Oliver, why don't you trust me? Why didn't you trust me? And I went, like, why are we having this same thing, a conversation about trust and Oliver not trust? Like, why are we doing it again? Like I said, it kind of pays off, but still, there's the beginning parts of that conversation were just the same stuff we've seen before. And then you see it again with Diggle and his wife, where they can't trust each other. Keeps on going on. We get another conversation again about hypocrisy and how is Oliver a hypocrite for not wanting Felicity to be a hypocrite, not be like him. The back and the forth. And the whole time you're thinking obvious things like, of course Felicity should not be like Oliver, and of course Felicity should know she should not be like Oliver, because she's been lecturing him for 5 seasons about not doing the stuff that she's starting to do. So obviously that's the case. Obviously that's stuff she should not be doing. It's just more of the lectures get pretty frustrating when they keep happening. And then kind of my last complaint about the episode would be that even with them kind of trapped underground with lack of air, bombs keep going off, they didn't seem to set up enough kind of stakes. It was like, instead of, I didn't feel like an ongoing tension and urgency, like, are they going to get out of there in time? How bad is this going to be? Is this going to have ramifications? It just felt like, okay, this is an episode that's going to be enjoyable for the next hour, but, of course they're going to get out. Of course there aren't going to be ramifications. And you think they could have done some stuff with, like, we've got an hour to get out of here before we can't breathe, but if we don't get out of here in 30 minutes, then my chip in my back's going to malfunction and it's going to screw me up and I'm going to need surgery and I won't be able to walk for 6 months. Like, there's things that it feels like they could have added in to add extra layers of tension to it. And when things don't go well, with, like, they get out later, maybe Felicity can't walk for the rest of the season. Like, throw things in there so the episode has weight and consequences, and what happens in the episode really matters to kind of this journey and the story that they're on. And so I didn't feel that, especially because they kept cutting away to the Scooby Gang and their investigation, and they would have a dramatic scene between Diggle and his wife. And you'd be like, all right, you're kind of like, there's people dying right now or people about to die. Maybe we should get to it. And so there's a lot of stuff like that just kind of frustrated me a little bit that they didn't build the tension and urgency in an episode like this that it really needs to be the best that it can be. So all in all, a decent episode, but not a great episode. And I think the final reveal kind of in the end of it, or twist with setting up the stakes for future episodes, made me more kind of like tense and like, ooh, what's about to happen, more so than anything that happened previously. Because now I'm going, all right, like, Prometheus is about to take William, and Oliver's going to go crazy and track him down, and, the last 3 episodes are going to get nuts. But it would have been nice if this episode, where their lives were in danger, if we felt that a little bit more, if they did a little bit more with that. So anyway, all in all, I thought a solid episode, one above average for the season, certainly. But with the problem of lacking some of the action, I would have liked if they'd found something more to do with it, other than, look, Oliver's climbing a ladder with Felicity on his back. And in particular, I find it pretty interesting that most previous episodes have the two, obviously the flashback timeline and main timeline. Most normal episodes have chase scenes, fight scenes in the normal time, and then they cut back to the other fight timeline, and you've got some action going on there, and at least one fight scene in the flashbacks. This episode they picked to do a previous point in time in the past with no fight scenes, and then they have an episode that has in the main timeline with no fight scenes. So it seems that was an odd choice if you ask me the way they did that. But overall, decent episode. Could have used more action. But that's just my take on it. How about you? What did you think about it? Tell me in the comment section down below. We don't have too many people chiming in right now, watching live. So looks like I'll sign off. Not early. I guess I did go over 10 minutes. Well, I had a lot more to say than I thought I was going to. But chime in the comment section. Tell me what you thought about it. How are you feeling? Do you think this season's going to end strong? I thought it started pretty weak, but it got pretty good in the middle. Petered around that last episode. Hopefully we will end amazing, but tell me what you think down in the comment section below. If you're new, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do plan on doing these live reactions for both The Flash and for Arrow for the rest of the season, so if you want to check those out, click that subscribe button. There's a little bell thing there too that you can click on. Click on that bell thing so you'll know when my new videos come out. I saw what you wrote, Big Tito, but I was not able to read. You said a big word in there that I could. Character, there we go. All right, so in the comment section, guys, chime in and give me some comments named Big Tito, and he wrote one and he misspelled the word character, and I guess autocorrect did some crazy stuff with it, so it X's and stuff. But yeah, so what he said was this episode was more about the characters and character moments than the action. I would totally agree, and it really worked on that level. To stuff I talked about before where they actually kind of moved forward with some of the trust discussions, the themes that they've been working with this whole season about lies, trust, trustworthiness, that they haven't always handled the best. This episode, still, I've been worn so thin on that talking about that stuff. I can't say it was great, but at the same time, I thought they resolved some of it and gave some finality to it that I think worked nicely into the show's advantage. Buddy, you getting ready for bed? Oh, sorry. He's in his underwears, so yep, put him in there just a little bit. You sneak it in the background. So all that to say, I better chime out now because it's just about bedtime for somebody. Oh, he discovered I took his toys and he's grabbing them. So it looks like you get a little insight into my family in the end of this video. So anyway, that's where I'm at on this episode and this season. I'm excited for the last stuff. Please consider clicking subscribing, all that fun stuff. Oh, yep, there he goes. Subscribe. He's trying to help out. Thank you guys so much. And
so much. Don't push this button. Don't.
I don't know what he just said, but that was.
Don't push the disc button.
Don't push the disc button. All right. Thank you guys much.